Guys, here's your Week 12 storylines. Let's start with Roy Ellison, suspended for one game after the war of words he had with Trent Williams. Also, Trent Williams is being accused of using the N-word, which we all know is not okay. No matter who you are, no matter what you're doing, it's not okay to use that word. A lot of activists are getting in so that that word is excluded, and a lot of people are going to get fines and suspensions. I don't see that happening. Cussing goes on, but that word does need to be excluded from the NFL. Next, we have Richie Incognito has met with Ted Wells for 2 days now. The grievance meeting is going to be pushed back, which means Miami will have a lot of decisions to make. They're going to have to make a decision either to cut him or to reactivate him onto their team, which would take someone off, as well as it would send a bad message if they kept him that, anybody can get away with anything and say whatever they want. Next, Jared Allen is going to look into what he can get during free agency. Don't doubt it. He's a great pass rusher. Went to Super Bowl ring, has loyalty to the Vikings. He wants to sign a one-day when his career is over to retire as a Viking, but he wants to be on a contender now. RG3 is being questioned for his leadership. I don't doubt it. Every post game, you just listen to his kid. He doesn't say the right things. Very immature. Next, Trent Richardson still getting the majority of the carries per Chuck Pagano. Tremaine Brock of the San Francisco 49ers signed a 4-year, $16 million contract extension. Moved into the slot, beat out Namdi after Chris Culver went down. And next, wide receiver Kyle Williams of the Kansas City Chiefs went down on IR, as well as DJ Hayden of the Oakland Raiders. Matt McGloin is getting his second start. Stephen Hill of the New York Jets will be losing his starting job. They're not happy with how he's performing. Ahmad Brooks got fined for the controversial hit on Drew Brees. Both Teddy Bruschi and Ray Lewis were going to help pay. He's denying them both. He's going to appeal. Dennis Pitta returns to the Ravens after a short-term IR. Brady versus Manning 14, we all know. The player that hit Delaney Walker, that headbutt him in the head, he's suspended. Deshaun Goldson's suspended for a game as well. They're both appealing their suspensions. And then we also have the JFK 50th anniversary of his death happened this week. We all know he got shot. Lee Harvey Oswald. Pete Rozelle, of course, went and he allowed the games to be played even the week of his death, which stirred a lot of controversy over and was the biggest controversy of his career other than with Al Davis. A lot of things are going on this week for it. They had the internal flame lit. A lot of ESPN and all that going over the death and how it impacted the sports world for that week. And next, we'll go through the power rankings. Number one, I still like Seattle Seahawks. I think Seattle matches well with Denver. They say who's going to cover Julius Thomas, and still even with the New Orleans Saints, who's going to cover Jimmy Graham. Earl Thomas, and he's a cover safety. He's a big guy. He's as big as Richard Sherman. He'll have no problem. Then I have the Denver Broncos since they beat the Kansas City Chiefs. I think in 2 weeks we'll see if they decline or if they beat Kansas City. They'll obviously stay where they are. Next, I have Kansas City. Even though they lost to Denver, I still think they're better than what happened. I think they can change their scheme up and get a win and get more wins. I think in Arrowhead is going to be a lot more difficult for Denver to play, and they should be getting that win. Next, New Orleans Saints. I think they have to play inside their dome to be able to make a real big playoff push. I think the defenses that are in that league, they'll have a hard time being on the road. So they'll be the number 2 seed more than likely, but I still like Seattle over them. The next, Carolina Panthers, and this is the same thing as Denver, Kansas City. We'll see how Carolina, New Orleans goes. That can shake up what spot they get. They can also shake up who gets the division and who gets a wild card spot. And the next, I have the New England Patriots. The Patriots, they lost to Carolina, but the Carolina Panthers are a tough team. I don't see it as too bad. I think they get on track, actually, in Denver. And then next, Indianapolis Colts. The Colts, they're still a powerful team, even without Reggie Wayne. That's really changed their identity, really changed what they can do. I still like, they're still winning. They're coming a lot more from behind. They don't have a real good number one receiver. T.Y. Hilton, he's not a number one. Darius Hayward-Bay is not a number one. Kobe Fleener, he's a very nice tight end, but he's not Jimmy Graham. So they have to rely a lot more on the defense, which is starting to slip a little bit, but I still like the Colts. We'll see how they go this week. And then next, the San Francisco 49ers. Even though they lost, there's a lot of division leaders that are behind them. I think, they've lost, all their games that they've lost have been to really elite teams, and all the games that they've won have been to bad teams. That's what good teams do. They beat the bad teams, and they compete with the good teams. Now, they didn't compete with a lot of the good teams, but they still have a way to bounce back. They're still a very powerful run team. The defense can still get after the quarterback. They can still stop the run. So the San Francisco 49ers still have not dropped out of my top 10. Next, Detroit Lions. Detroit, they're very wishy-washy. You can't really trust them too much. Same as number 10, Cincinnati Bengals. They're a lot of the same, really. An elite wide receiver, and then really nobody after it until Nate Burleson comes back for the Detroit Lions, which he might be active Sunday, might not. Defenses, they get after the quarterback. The back end is what's questionable. Pretty good linebackers. Running game, Gio Bernard, Reggie Bush. But it's so hard because a lot of it goes through the quarterback. And Matthew Stafford will throw a lot of picks, even though he throws a lot of yards and a lot of touchdowns. And same with Andy Dalton. Will throw a lot of picks, even though he'll throw a couple touchdowns and a lot of yards. But I pick Matthew Stafford over Andy Dalton, which is the only reason why Detroit will be over Cincinnati Bengals in my top 10 power rankings. All right, guys, that's it. Tomorrow's football. Enjoy, have fun, and then next week, Thanksgiving games, Thanksgiving, Black Friday. Don't go to Walmart. Don't go out. Stay with your family. Stop being greedy. Love you, America.